All right, today we're diving into the world of Eva Perón, but specifically as she wanted us to see it. We're looking at her autobiography, La Razón de mi Vida. Now this book, it's not your typical political memoir. It's really this intense story she tells about her identity, her purpose, and this absolute devotion, all of it carefully crafted to cement her place in history.
So right out of the gate, Eva Perón starts her story, but not with some big declaration of power. Instead, you get this, a statement of just complete humility. And right away, she gives us this central metaphor, the sparrow, that is going to literally define her entire story. You really have to get this sparrow idea to understand how she's framing herself for the world and, for the history books.
And she wastes no time framing her entire existence around just one person, her husband, President Juan Perón. You see, if she's the humble sparrow, then he's something else entirely, something much, much bigger. And in her telling, this relationship isn't just, part of her life, it is her life.
And look at this dynamic she sets up right from the beginning. She's not just his partner, no. She's the humble sparrow, and he's the giant condor, a force of nature, she says, flying close to God. It's this incredible image where he descends to her level. He teaches her how to see the world, and he becomes the very source of her vision. It's such a powerful picture of submission, but she frames it as her ultimate purpose in life.
I mean, this says it all, right? The devotion she's talking about is completely absolute. There is zero ambiguity. She's basically saying that nothing, not her life, not even her own heart, belongs to her anymore. It's all been handed over to him and his cause. This is the bedrock, the foundation of the entire identity she's building for us in this book.
So you have to ask, where did all this come from? How did her journey even start? Well, she claims it wasn't from reading political books or anything like that. Nope, it was a feeling, a really deep feeling she says she had her entire life, going all the way back to when she was a little kid.
And this is it. This feeling she calls the engine of her life. She says that from her very earliest memories, every time she saw an injustice, it caused her this deep physical pain in her soul. She literally says it was like something was being stabbed into it. So for her, this wasn't politics. It was personal. It was visceral.
And the way she describes her path to this conviction, it's not some intellectual journey. It's a three-step awakening. First, she just observes. She sees there are poor people and rich people. Okay. Then comes the revelation. She hears a working man say that the poor exist because the rich are just too rich. And that's the click. The third step is conviction, but it's not from reasoning it out. She just felt that it was true, a gut-level feeling. And that emotional certainty, she says, is what shaped everything for her.
Okay, so she's got all this indignation, right? But it's just this raw feeling. It needs a direction, a purpose. And in her telling, she found that purpose on one very specific day, a day that she says changed absolutely everything.
She calls it her marvelous day, the day she met Juan Perón. And you have to understand, in her story, this wasn't just a meeting. This was it. This was the moment her life actually began. It's when all those powerful feelings, all that anger at injustice, finally had a direction, a cause to serve.
And her dedication was just instant and total. From that very first day, she pledges everything to his cause. She promises to be by his side no matter what it takes, no matter the sacrifice, right up until I collapse. And let me tell you, that promise, it was about to be tested, like right away.
And that test came hard and fast. In October 1945, Perón gets arrested by his political enemies. Everything happens so quickly. But then, his supporters, the workers she starts calling her descamisados, the shirtless ones, they flood the streets. Hundreds of thousands of them. And this massive protest, it works. It gets him freed and shows everyone just how much popular support he really has. For Eva, this had to be the ultimate proof that she'd made the right choice.
Now, during that incredibly tense week, she writes about how she's just poring over his letters from prison, desperately looking for words of love for her. But what she keeps finding over and over is his constant worry about his workers, his trabajadores. And then she has this incredible light bulb moment. She realizes his instructions to care for the workers, that was his way of showing love. That was his deepest expression of love.
And that realization, it gives her a mission. See, once Perón is out and Weissel becomes president, she knows she can't just be the typical first lady. That's not her. So she has to create her own role. And she does it by creating two very different versions of herself.
So she asks herself, okay, who am I supposed to be in all this? Am I just the president's wife, or am I something more? And for her, that official role, the one she calls Eva Perón, yeah, it was a simple part to play, but it just wasn't enough. Not even close.
So she creates this really sharp split between her two identities. On one hand, you have Eva Perón, that's the official role, right? The one for holidays, fancy parties, state ceremonies. But then you have Evita, and that was her real mission, the one she chose for herself. Evita wasn't the president's wife, she was the leader's wife. Her role was for the tough, day-to-day fight, and to be that direct connection to the people.
And this is how she saw her real job, her true purpose. As Evita, she wasn't just speaking up for people, she was the actual link, a living, breathing bridge connecting all the hopes of the desquemasados straight to Perón's hands, the hands with the power to actually make those hopes a reality.
And as Evita, she very deliberately chose who she was fighting for. It wasn't the rich and powerful, that's for sure. It was the workers, the humble, the women of Argentina. She didn't just position herself as their champion, she positioned herself as one of them. She was their direct line, their unwavering connection to the president.
So what's the end game here? What was this all for? What did she actually want her legacy to be? Well, in the last pages of her book, as she's staring down the illness that she knows will kill her, she lays out her ambition with, frankly, stunning clarity.
She confesses, and that's the word she uses, that she has one ambition, one single great personal ambition. But it's not what you'd think. It's not for power or money or fame in the way we usually think of it. It's something totally different.
She wants to be remembered, but look at how she wants it. She's not asking for her own chapter in the history books, not at all. She wants to be just a small note, maybe even a footnote, in what she sees as the huge, magnificent chapter that will be all about Perón.
And this is the final and kind of provocative thought she leaves us with. This single sentence is what she wants history to write about her. She doesn't want the history books to remember Eva Perón, the powerful wife of the president. She only wants to be remembered as the woman the people loved, the one they just called affectionately Evita.